Welcome, summer signs, to your abundance reading. Very happy to be here with you to share this. I have cleared the space with my singing bowl and some sage, and I'm burning a beautiful blend of essential oils to keep me in the energy of this reading. So this is really about looking at a creative cycle and working with an energy that is supporting you during the cycle as well, based on the expertise of a ascended master. So for you, that being is Lao Tzu. I hope that you are familiar with this being. If not, feel free to Google him. And he has beautiful quotes from some of the literature that was written, perhaps by him, but at least collected in his honor. He may or may not be a fictionized character, but he did represent being natural, looking at nature for leadership, looking at how especially water moves around things and levels out, and using that as a way to choose to behave and think in your day-to-day reality. He existed at a time when there was another strong philosophy that brought a lot of structure to China, and so this is really almost like the counterpart to that philosophy, more of a feminine, we could say, energy in relation to this highly structured Confucius philosophy that was out at the same time. Excuse me. So let's look now at your first position here, which is about accomplishments and preserving and letting go of things based on coming out of this last cycle. We are positioned right here in our annual cycle right now. So this is the time, Halloween's the time when we're really in this energy. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. The sage always gets to me. Which is so beautiful, that we have this transitional time. Some people would call it death, but really it's about making these choices as to what's going to be carried in and what is going to be released, so space can be freed up to allow more new things to come through. Fantastic time. And for you, we have, especially here right from the start, this powerful energy of like root chakra and fire energy. It's super powerful. So the spring sign also had this to a certain degree. And I would encourage you, as I did for them, to spend time with fire, to spend time really engaging in the active element, as Lao Tzu would have been actively engaged with the physical environment, so that it can engage a psychological process for you. This, if you can't engage in, would be a process really of what we're talking about. What can we burn away? What needs to go here so that the innocence can return? And that's really what you may want to be preserving, is something that feels like it's on behalf of your inner child, something important to you during that time, or something for a child in your life, or children in general. I feel like whatever is going to happen, though, will probably feel fairly sweeping. This feels very powerful in the sense that it may not be a small decision. You may be finding yourself in the middle of very intense energy where you are strongly deciding what needs to go for good. And when we get this fire energy, I mean, it's permanent transformation here. So I just feel like it's going to be very affecting for you. And I feel like it will instantly create movement for you. So if you've been feeling stuck, this may be an energy that is extremely helpful to help you move past that. Now, as we look at what your new dream is going to be, so that what you're starting to bring in from the ethers is going to produce an ideal harvest by the time you get to the other side here. Again, we're seeing this very ecstatic energy, this very illuminated, highly charged, highly impassioned energy. I apologize, I just can't. I also live down south where we get so much rain and the molds are so intense that I think I really struggle with it. Anyway, so here I feel like you are wanting to have very clear vision about what's going on. I invite you to do meditation and invite you to meditate outside, even if you get the opportunity to, with the sun. But to really take that time to make sure that you're working with your inner vision, that you are not just making instinctual decisions made in haste or without proper reflection. Give yourself the time to really be in that energy of letting things come through. Because it feels like that there's a lot that wants to come through. This is very, very active energy. So if you were to act on it immediately, it may be a little too frantic. You may be overdoing it at the beginning of this process. So I'm just cautioning so that you don't experience false starts and, jumping into things that you're not truly connected with. Now, as we look at the next position, this is about this final stage of really purifying and preparing and committing before you really let the energy start to build and things be produced from it. So again, we've got sort of this energy coming off of what we have here, making sure that you are being introspective about things, that you're touching into kind of that inner magician quality, that part of yourself that isn't just about being practical and logical, but explores things in ways that may feel foreign for you, may even feel a little bit taboo, and that you may be able to find that this is where your focus may actually need to be, and that you may need to be leading with this energy that once again may not be very clear in what it is, but the approach to what you're doing and the place from where you're coming from may be more important, like what you're actually standing in here. Seeing if anything else would like to come through of this one. Okay, let's go to the position now of balance. And this is about within this process of where you are taking time to be active and resting and allowing yourself to reflect here. So it looks like to help with this, you may want to actually take time with friends, be playful, maybe indulge in some outdoor activities, maybe just spend some time, doing whatever it is that you find enjoyable. You may find that you want to seek the assistance of herbs or something like that that help relax you, help kind of alter your state of consciousness a little bit, because it looks like, again, like that is what's kind of important here, is that you're not entirely going to be logical about what you're doing. You need to have some energy of almost like an otherworldly quality, but not entirely, but it's more of like the unknown and where the surprises come from sometimes, the magic of a situation, and that is important to fuel, and we can only really stay in touch with that when we give ourselves the opportunity to shut down the logical mind and indulge in the other aspects of ourself. So then we will be coming to the position of pleasure and freedom that is in the commitment that you've been making to your creativity. And here we see you gaining kind of a new status of like a new identity, and you haven't necessarily completely grown into it yet. Again, as we started with your inner child, I feel like we are kind of growing you, and it's an inner strength that you're working on, and that you haven't completely come to fruition with it, but you're committed to it. And I think that it's difficult for you. I think that sometimes you're not quite sure if you're doing the right thing, and you may also not entirely feel like you have the support of other people, because you may be doing something that's very solo. You may feel as if you need more mentorship or something. Yeah, I'm getting this message too of kind of having to go back, research things, study things, get in touch with a part of history that may not be inherent to your knowing at this time, and diving deeper within that, getting more details, basically letting more and more come through. And the process itself may just have you in that stage where you haven't reached full enlightenment with it. But I see the promise of it. Like, that's what's so beautiful about this, is that you're like midway into this. So whatever you're working on may take a few cycles to really get where you want it to be. Okay, so your next position is abundance. This is really about the apex point of this cycle, like where you have brought whatever you're doing here to its peak, and what you're going to be seeing the greatest growth from. And again, I'm kind of getting a little further maturation here of getting to know some knowledge that was beyond you, getting more in touch with that. And there's this loss of self, even sort of a loss of ego. You may be very, very committed to just taking in a lot from outside sources that you are not you're not necessarily de-energized by this, but you're not like glowing and overwhelmed with energy. I feel like you're very much still collecting that, like you're gaining more and more illumination as you go through this, more and more clarity. This can be a very tough energy to stick with. I mean, I almost feel like the grad school energy, or just like the college degree, like it's a long commitment, something that takes a while to really or even raising a child. It takes a long time to get through the process, but it will be rewarding in the end, and you don't want to give up on it. Okay, so your next position is about the resources that you have acquired through this cycle and what protection they can offer you. I think that you are really feeling a little more self-assured by the layers that you've been able to accomplish with what you're doing at this point. That you're starting to feel more connected to something that may have historical significance for you. It may have to deal with your family, your roots, or just society in general. I feel like you're gaining a lot of clarity, though, and understanding of who you are in the bigger picture and who everyone else is in the bigger picture. And feeling very deep. Yeah, that's another kind of emotion I'm getting about this. Is just like this inner depth about it that you haven't really maybe experienced before, because maybe you haven't searched this deep before or committed to something so deeply before. And that, I think, is what is going to be giving you a lot of strength. And that strength, that inner strength, is then the protection that you have gained, because it's making you appear to others as mature, steadfast, calm, wise. And it doesn't possess a false sense of any of that. There's a trueness in spirit to the energy that you're projecting from coming through this. There's integrity here. And then your final card is about gratitude and wisdom that you are pulling from this, that's going to allow you to lead yourself into the next new opportunity. Again, we kind of get this somber energy off of this card. And it looks like you are acknowledging that, yes, you went as far as you could with this, and that you've gained a fair amount of wisdom from the process. You have honored your inner child through this, and that's giving you a great deal of self-assurance and calm, self-respect. And I think that you are probably seeing that because of all of this building energy, that it's now created an opening to go to something new. Like you have found portals within this process that you didn't know existed before you did the research or participated in what you're doing. And there's one or maybe more of those that you now have the opportunity to take what you know now to be able to observe and investigate and go deeper with into new areas. So this is what I have for you during this time. I'm wishing you a blessed full moon and sending you so much love. You guys take really, really good care